Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tide Talk Live. Stacey Blackwood, joined as always by my good buddy Jake Thomas to talk some Alabama football. Jake, first of all, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. It's got a little cold snap down here in the deep south. It's really, really cold. So I'm trying to stay warm. I'm sure you're doing the same.
Yeah, most definitely. But I love this type of weather. I
Yeah.
love being able to wear a jacket or a hoodie or
Mhm.
something. So I love this weather. It's been great. But Jake, Alabama finally they got back. I say finally they got back in the win column this last weekend. If we lose one game, we feel like it's been an eternity since we won one. But
Yeah.
Alabama gets back in the win column against Ole Miss. Really a big time win. There's not a lot of teams that can go on the road to the number 11 team in the country and get a win, but they do that. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But as always, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. And jump in the comments and let us know your thoughts on the Alabama win over Ole Miss from this past weekend. All right, Jake, let's just jump into it. Look, it wasn't always pretty. There was some good moments, there was some bad moments, but in the end, this team got it done on the road and got the 30-24 win over Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Just your initial thoughts on the win and how you thought the game played out.
The initial thoughts, defensively, I thought that was probably one of the most, the intensity, I would say, from the defense that I've seen all year. The old grit, and I've been talking about, we've been wanting to see all year. The intensity level, it was there. Dante Lawson, man, I mean, he come in and he killed it. I'm really forward to seeing what he can do the rest of the year, and being one of the main guys next year as well, potentially, because he brought the thunder a couple times on and some big hits, and he brought that intensity and that passion. So I was really happy to see that. There were some mental mistakes still, like Dallas Turner had the flag, the 15-yard face mask penalty. But when your quarterback leans down like that and you're trying to go for the shoulder, it just gets kind of sketchy. And really, the one that didn't really get called that I've seen all week about him pushing the guy's head down, you
Yeah,
know,
hey, I hate to
yeah,
interrupt you, but I
no,
want
you're
to talk
good.
about this for just a minute.
Hmm.
If there's any Ole Miss fans watching, can y'all please shut up about Dallas Turner being suspended or should have
Right.
been ejected for the face mask? And
Hmm.
yes, look, first of all, face mask happen in every game. That didn't just happen to
Right.
be really bad because of the
Yeah.
way his momentum was carrying him and the way
Hmm.
that Jackson Dart tried to avoid him.
Hmm.
It's called
Yep.
football. Stuff like that happens.
Hmm.
Yes, he should have been penalized for him pushing down Jackson Dart's head towards the end of the game. But guess what? The refs didn't see it. And guess what? An Ole Miss player punched Kendrick Law,
Yeah.
and there wasn't a flag thrown.
Right.
So, I mean, come on now. Look, let's grow up a little bit. You didn't lose the game because Dallas Turner was a little rough on Jackson Dart.
Right.
Okay? So
Yeah.
let's just forget about that and
Hmm.
move on with our lives because that's just I've heard people talking about that the last 3 or 4 days,
I know. I have
and
too.
I'm like, "Give me a break. Are you kidding me?" I mean, Tennessee decapitated Bryce Young, and it wasn't flagged, and we're talking about somebody shoving somebody's head in the ground, and it wasn't
Right.
even that malicious of a shove.
Right. It's just just a
Anyways,
non-violent, yeah. But there's still
I'm not
some
defending Turner. He shouldn't have
no,
done it, and he should have been flagged, but you can't say he should have been flagged for that when you're not calling for your guy who punched
right.
somebody, which is like the thing that's supposed to be avoided at all cost.
Hmm.
You're not you hadn't even heard a whisper about that yet.
Right.
And I'm
Because
not
it's all about
complaining about
Turner.
it. I don't care. It's football. People get mad, people get intense. I've been
Hmm.
in piles when punches have been thrown, people's been biting, pinching, you name it.
Yeah.
It's called
And
football.
and the bottom of the piles when there's 20 people laying on top of you, that type of stuff. But there's still some mental mistakes that's got to get cleaned up. Offensively, I thought I the biggest issue was what happened to Gibbs in the second half, and I think it's finally come out that he might have had a ankle injury, something like that. But
Right.
Jace McClellan,
Yeah,
you
Coach
know,
Saban mentioned in the post game that Jameer Gibbs twisted his
mhm,
ankle and was not able to come back. And you were just fixing to mention Jace
Yeah.
McClellan. He was really one of the big storylines of the game for Alabama.
Absolutely. He had a really, really big game. And moving forward, we got Law in there, like you mentioned. I said it on Twitter this week or during the game Saturday. I said, maybe this is Burton's coming out party. What the game we've been waiting for him to have, because it seemed like he was heavily involved in the decision making and playbook and the game plan. And so, I'm anxious to see how he does, this week and then the week after when the Iron Bowl shows up.
Yeah, and you talk about Jace McClellan. I want to touch on him for just a minute.
Hmm.
I think he finished with 84 yards on the game, and the offensive line, especially there in the third quarter and in the early part of the fourth quarter, they really started to impose their will. Really,
Yeah.
from Emil Ekiyor on the right side all the way over to Tyler Steen at the left tackle spot. That side of the offensive line really started to create lanes for McClellan, and he was running with some power and with some grit, and really finished his run strong, and had a really good
Hmm.
second half. Rodell Williams made a couple good runs there in the second half as well. So they really picked up the running game when Jahmyr Gibbs got injured. And you mentioned Jermaine Burton. I thought both Burton and Brooks were as good collectively as they have been all season long, and
Yeah.
it really come at a big time, because you knew that Alabama was going to have to score some points. If they could get to that 30-point mark, I felt pretty good about it,
Hmm.
because I thought this Alabama defense would do pretty. Ole Miss scored about what I thought they would score. I thought they would score between 20 and 24 points,
Hmm.
and they finished with 24. So I thought the Alabama defense, for the most part, played pretty well from about the second quarter on to really the last drive that Ole Miss had. Ole Miss virtually did nothing on the ground. And
Right.
once Ole Miss jumped up 17-7 there in the early part of the second quarter, they just scored one more touchdown the entire game. So Pete Golden, got to give him credit, and the guys on the defense, they played really well. On the road and against a team that's really physical. I think they held Ole Miss to the second lowest yards per carry mark of the season at 3.9 yards per carry.
Hmm.
That's really good against that style of offense and that physical of a rushing attack that Ole Miss has. So really proud of the way defense played. Byron Young was phenomenal.
Yes.
He played the game of his life. I think he finished with, I think I seen 11 tackles in the
11
game,
tackles, two
two
sacks.
two sacks. I know he deflected a pass.
Hmm.
He was really, really, really good in that game, and Alabama needed him to be good, and he was.
Yeah, he was, man. We've been talking about somebody on that defensive line that needed to step up, moving forward, and he really stepped up this week. And there was a one play, I think a Dart was trying to scramble out, and I mean he did like four swim moves on his opponent, and filled that lane and got the sack. That was on one of his sacks, but another guy I want to mention on defense is Brian Branchman. He was in a perfect position on that last throw. I mean,
Yep.
just an absolutely perfect play by him, and perfect defending. So he played a really good game as well.
Yeah, he got juked by Judkins there on that last drive, which led to that
Yeah.
long run he had. But outside of that play, he
Hmm.
was phenomenal once again. And
Yep.
the defense was as good as I think you can expect them to be in that type of circumstance. So really proud of the way they played. But they did leave some plays on the field, Jake, like you
Oh yeah.
mentioned. The Dallas Turner sack, that was going to bring up that would have brought up third and forever, wouldn't it? Because
Third and 18, third and
I
20.
think Anderson had a sack on first
Hmm.
down, which made it second and 18.
Yeah.
And then Turner gets the face mask and gives Ole Miss that automatic first down.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it just some mental mistakes, but we got to get that cleaned up, and you know, we got Austin P this coming up week, so it's a good chance to get some of those mental mistakes cleaned up. We really don't want to see a regression in a game like this moving forward. But you know, it looks like even though Auburn is not their best right now, they beat A&M and they're still in the fight for a bowl game. So I think at Western Kentucky this week, they're going to come in probably 5-6, needing a win, to get bowl eligible. And Cadillac has got them boys fighting hard. So the season for Alabama, it's not over. We're going to have a tough test in the Iron Bowl. I just have a feeling we've got any kind of mental mistake, even though we're at home, it could be detrimental late in that game.
Yeah, not to overlook Austin P,
Right.
but yeah, you're right. Auburn, you can't Alabama cannot give them any reason once the game kicks off to believe they're going to
Mhm.
win because
Right.
when the game starts, you know that Cadillac's going to have those boys fired up. They're playing extremely hard for him right now, and
Mhm.
uh, once the game kicks off, Alabama cannot give them any belief that they can
No.
win the game.
No.
Alabama needs to start strong in that game. That's going to be imperative for the Iron Bowl. But Jake, before we wrap up our talk about Ole Miss, uh, I, I want to talk about how, despite the win, Jake, nothing really changes on the outlook of this season for Alabama.
Mhm.
Alabama did not play up to their capability. They did not play to the standard this
Mhm.
season. There was still, like I mentioned, a few plays left on the field.
Oh, yeah.
The offensive line is not as consistent as it needed to be. The receiving core is not as consistent as it needs to be. The running game is not as consistent as it needs to be. Bryce Young has not been as consistent as we would hope he would be. A lot of that is due to his injury. It's not that Bryce can't play or he's forgotten to play quarterback.
Right.
He's been a little banged up and hasn't practiced as much. And defensively, Jake, it's just been much of what it's been the entire tenure of Pete Golden.
Mhm.
Uh, Too many blown assignments, too many missed opportunities, and this year's version is just not creating enough turnovers, Jake. It's just, and when you don't create turnovers and you're not elite against the run and against the pass, then you're going to give up some points and you're going to give up some big plays, and that's what we've seen from this defense. So despite getting the really good win at Ole Miss, and I don't want to take anything away from that, we got to enjoy that because it
Right.
is a big win, Jake. There's not many teams and back-to-back weeks play two top 12 teams on the road, and they lose one on a 2-point conversion in overtime, and they win the other one, at the end of the game. So it's important to keep all that in perspective, Jake.
Mhm.
But I think it's also important as Alabama fans to really, and I think most fans understand that this team is really underachieved, uh, you know, relative to the talent that's on the team. And I think that we can all agree that the coaching is just not where it needs to be. We talked about that last week, and I think we're going to see changes. We talked about that last
Yeah.
week as well, and but I'm really proud that the guys continue to fight. They continue to play hard,
Mhm.
and they really executed when it mattered most. They played well in the second half against Ole Miss, and they were able to come away with a win.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to touch on. You got to give the coaches some credit for still, telling these boys that there's still a lot to fight for because once we got that second loss, you know, we know there's no college football playoff. I mean, we've got to have a lot to happen. I'm not going to say it. I mean, it's a long shot. We're going to have a lot of crap to happen in front of us. But still having these guys, and I talked about the intensity. We could have come out this week and just laid an egg and was like, oh,
Yep.
we don't really want to be here and play like that the rest of the season. But they come out and played the most aggressive game I have seen from this defense all single year. I hate that it happened in this game. Wish it would have happened 5-6 games ago, but at least that intensity was there for the first time this season when they could have just, like I said, just laid an egg and be like, let's just get the season over with and get to a bowl game, and then the ones who are going to the NFL, we'll just go on to move to the NFL. But they're still playing and still fighting hard.
Yeah, and one more thing, Jake, the moment when Bryce Young and Coach Saban were kind of
Oh,
lighting into the rest of the offense after that
mhm.
debacle on the fourth down attempt,
Yeah,
I mean, chef's kiss. I mean,
yeah.
I loved it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it
exactly.
was where has that been? And I thought that was great leadership by Bryce Young. And then
Mhm,
what happens that next drive? They come out firing on all cylinders, and
mhm.
that's when he hits Jermaine Burton for a touchdown on an absolute dot on the
Yeah,
RPO. Kind of a slant, not really a slant, but a little bit of a skinny post.
mhm.
And also that touchdown pass to Ja'Cory Brooks where he, shimmies the defender and then
Yeah.
just, I mean, arcs it over the linebacker. Just unbelievable. Bryce is just
No,
when he is on, he is the most fun player to watch play that position. He's just
absolutely.
he's incredible, and uh, I'm going to miss watching that guy play because, Jake, there's not a Bryce Young on the roster to take his place right now because there's
No,
not many Bryce Youngs on this universe.
no. I mean, like we've said, he's a once in a generational top quarterback. Milrow and Simpson, both are going to be great.
Yeah.
But I mean, Bryce level. I mean, even Tua level. I mean, you can't though the passion and the skill set those both of those guys had. You can't. I mean, it's hard to match. And
Yeah.
I agree. I'm going to hate not seeing. You know, I mean, even in Tua's situation, these two guys are not going to win a national championship start as a starter. And
Yeah.
that's really, really disheartening to see because I mean they're both class acts and what Bryce has done this year is just and for being in Alabama has just been incredible.
That should show fans how incredibly difficult it is to win a national championship.
Yeah, it is.
Alabama did not win a national championship with either Bryce Young, who's the best quarterback in college football right now,
Hmm.
or with Tua Tagovailoa, who is now arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. I mean, right now
Yeah,
he'd be the NFL MVP at this moment.
if he only got injured, it's
No, he would
amazing.
be
Yeah,
right now.
well,
He would
yeah,
be right
that's true.
now.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Yeah,
Fox NFL today put out a thing that they had all their analysts and people vote, and at the mid season point, and Tua was the MVP.
I don't blame him. I mean,
I mean,
it's amazing.
he's got the
Yeah,
best passer rating,
yeah,
the most touchdowns, the best touchdown interception ratio. I think
yeah.
the best average yards per game. He's just he is lighting it up. It's
Yeah.
amazing what a little bit of help on offense and what having a coach who actually believes in you will do for you.
Mhm. That's exactly what I was going to say. When a coach believes in you, he's going to be incredible. Brian Flores did not. I mean, Brian Flores has been on record saying that he didn't like to his style of play and all that. Mike McDaniel come in and said he's my guy, and look what he's done. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, Brian Flores is an idiot if he said that now. I mean, my gosh.
I bet he feels mighty dumb right now.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it. That's crazy,
Hey,
man.
hey, Jake. Before we go, look, Alabama basketball. We're recording this on Tuesday
Oh
night,
yeah,
and we'll probably release this tonight as well. The Bama hoops plays at freaking 9 o'clock tonight.
of
Um,
course.
I mean, like, why? Why?
I'll be I'll be halfway asleep by then.
I'm in bed by 8:30. I'm an old
I
man,
know. I know.
but I'm going to try my best to stay up and watch as much of that as I can. What a great start this team has had,
Oh
Jake.
man.
Nate Oats has this team playing hard.
Hmm.
Jake, on the defensive end, they're going to be tough for anybody to score on because they have incredible length, they have incredible athleticism,
Hmm.
and they're all just really skilled. And Jake, they're a lot of fun to watch. And as young as they are, and as they continue to grow together and build chemistry, when
Hmm.
Quinterly gets back, Jake, this is going to be
Yeah.
a dangerous team.
Yeah, man. Last year's team was missing. One thing from last year's team was you talked about was the length. We didn't really have a lot of length. Now we do, and you see what it's done on defense. I mean, the core right now with Miller and Clowney,
Bediako,
Bediako, Gurley, and Sears has played really well. Uh,
Jaden
yeah,
Bradley.
James Bradley, and like you said, we're doing this all without JQ. When JQ comes back, it's just going to be that much more better offensively and defensively. But I mean, it's hard pressed for me to say that there's not a better player right now that's playing for Alabama right now than Brandon Miller.
Oh,
That
Brent.
dude, I mean, he is incredible, and unfortunately, he's looking like he's going to be a one hit, one year type guy. I would love to see a few more years out of that kid, but man, he is amazing right
Oh man,
now.
for a guy his size,
I know.
it's a lot like, and I know he's not he's not quite Jabari Smith, what Jabari Smith was last year for Auburn, because he's not
Mhm.
6'10". I mean,
Right.
that Jabari Smith's just a freak, but Brandon
Mhm.
Miller's right there, man. That dude is
Yeah.
he is incredible length, incredible athleticism, can
Mhm.
handle the ball so well. He's really he's always involved in the game. Like he doesn't ever seem like he's not interested.
Right.
That's one thing that I love about this team so far through two games, Jake.
Mhm.
Their focus and intensity on the defensive end of the court is is already better than anything that I saw last year from the Alabama team. So
Right.
I think this team, they're probably going to have a few losses where you're like, man, I can't believe they lost that game because
Mhm.
maybe the shots are not falling, but it's not going to be because they allow 80 something points or 90 something
Or
points.
100 something, yeah.
It's not going to be because of that. It's going to be because they just had a lousy shooting night, and they just couldn't get quite enough stops to make up for their lack of shot making. Uh, Last year, Jake, even if the offense played great, it was going to come down to the wire because they couldn't stop nobody.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I
Wouldn't
feel
have
like
that
this
length.
team this team has enough length that they're going to create a lot of problems for other teams, and I'm
Mhm.
excited to see how they continue to develop. Now, tonight's matchup at South Alabama is not going to be an easy game, Jake.
I was going to talk about
South
that.
Alabama always is always a good program. They're going to be playing hard in on their home court.
Right.
What a challenge for Nate Oats and this team that's really young. Their first road test. I'm
Mhm.
anxious to see how they respond, Jake, and how they come out at tip off and how they play tonight down there in Mobile.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, everybody's like, "Oh, it's just South Alabama." But South Alabama is a veteran-led group. I mean, they're really, 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 really good, and of course, everybody's like, it's just South Alabama. But the thing about it is, Nate Oats is dealing with a young team. So this young team is going up against a veteran led team. Let's let's see how they handle the pressure, like you said, being on the road, and just get experience, and just play, within yourselves. Don't do anything stupid, limit turnovers, which they done. I think the first game they had like a ton, but the second game they kind of away with that. But just got to limit turnovers, limit mental mistakes, and build the chemistry. This is going to be a special team, I believe. And once we get past the first couple of weeks, we got some really really big matchups coming up.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah, I'm anxious, and that's the thing about Nate Oates. What I love, he's not going to play just he'll scatter a few just cupcakes, I would call them, but he challenges these guys and gets them ready, because if they have a strong team that have a great resume, they're going to get in the NCAA tournament. We already know that,
right.
and he needs to get those boys, especially this young group, get them ready to go once that tournament time comes.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
and Jake, you got to think about you know, Longwood and Liberty.
Oh yeah.
Those are two good teams, Jake. I mean,
Hmm.
I would not be surprised if they're not both in the tournament. So,
Yeah.
it's I'm with you. Nate Oates does a great job of scheduling
Hmm.
really good competition in the non-conference, and it really gets the team ready for
Hmm.
SEC play. And Michigan State, Gonzaga,
Man,
who else? I mean, it's ridiculous the non-conference slate that's ahead of them. So
I think we got
excited.
Baylor in the Big 12. We got Baylor in the
Maybe
Big 12. I can't
I
remember.
can't
Yeah,
remember.
I can't
It's
remember.
a loaded
Yeah.
schedule. It's
It
loaded.
is. It is. Yep.
And it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm excited
Mhm.
to see how they perform tonight, down there in Mobile against South Alabama. So, excited
Absolutely.
about that. What a great start to the season for the Alabama basketball team. Right now, they're to me, they're as good as anybody else in the country as far as
Yeah.
what they've done on the court up to this point.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm excited to see what they continue to do there. Of course, Jake, the soccer team is still in the, NCAA
Man,
tournament.
Coach
They Coach Hart has done a great
Coach
job,
Hart's
Jake.
amazing. Yeah.
They have a chance to win it all, and
Mhm.
I'm excited to see if they can do that. I don't really watch soccer, but I'm going to watch
Mhm.
the Tide because I love the Tide.
I know, I did too. Yeah, Coach Hart's done an amazing job, and Parker, she's the heart and soul of the team, and when she's on, it's pretty much lights out for anybody else. So I'm excited. I'm ready to see how they do. And I mean, we got basketball starting up.
Friday's their next matchup, right?
Yeah, Friday's next matchup. But the closer we get into Christmas, we're getting closer to baseball and softball season too. And we know that the softball team is going to be really good, but baseball, this team I think has a really good chance to be really, really sneaky good this
Yep.
year. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, exciting
Mhm.
times.
Mhm.
down there on the capstone. But if
Yep.
you don't have anything else, Jake, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. We talked a little bit Ole Miss, we talked a little bit of
Mhm.
hoops, a little bit of soccer, everything tied up into one episode here on Tide Talk Live. Like it says on the bottom, like, share, and subscribe today. Hit that bell notification button so you don't miss a single episode of Tide Talk Live. If you don't watch us here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, just wherever you find great podcasts, you can find Tide Talk Live. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.